Alright everybody, welcome back to another turn of Operation Montagnard. This is going to be turn 19 for the Japanese, which is July of 1945. Before we get into it, got some housekeeping. We'll do oldest to newest. So, during the American KMT turn, there was a bit of an error in communication. The result of it is the edit we're making here is that the 3 Japanese naval transports in port in Nanking are going to have scrambled out into P-32, where there were ships attempting to amphibiously assault. The submarine would be a screening force, so any units that get kicked out necessarily die, and then the battle continues exactly else as it was recorded. The only difference is there was no naval transport left alive for the KMT to capture when they were given that territory back. Alright, next will be for the German turn. First, the fleet could not go in port in Scotland after conducting an amphibious assault into northern England, so it will either need to be in port in northern England or out at A6. He still gets to choose. I haven't heard back from him on that one, but it's not going to affect my turn. So we'll leave it as it is for the sake of progressing the board state and getting tactical the board to plan and prepare. Maybe it won't even be necessary for the decision to be made before the next British turn, but, you know, maybe. We'll just pass the buck, basically. For the 18th Air in Normandy, there was a strategic bomber that conducted a strategic bombing of the major factory in London. Oh boy, I don't know where the marker is, where the fleet is. There it is. Okay. But no anti-aircraft was rolled against it, so we are going to roll for the British AAA on that major factory, which needs a 3 or less to hit. Fantastic, that's a miss, and nothing changes. Okay, okay, also for the Germans, we need to address the AAA that got railed into Lubelski. There's no rail path to get in here. With the current, the default rails got scorched, so should be no path there. Something needs to be done about that. But again, we'll leave that for to be addressed later, hopefully before tacticals next turn. And it won't go further than that. And lastly, for the Germans, Sardinia was captured, but because it's part of originally owned territory by a major power in the same alliance as Germany, that territory has to be liberated to Italy. And that is going to necessitate a change in the bank as well. The Germans will collect 1 fewer IPC from that. They collected 79, lost 2 from convoy raiding, and then lose the 1 for not having collected from Sardinia. Okay, and now with that, the Germans should be done. A few minor edits for the Soviet Union as well. This one's a little bit more complicated. In northern Finland, the carpet bombing hits should not have counted as first strike. So on round 1, a cavalry and an infantry that should have rolled did not. So we're going to roll for those now. Infantry does hit, and that's going to cause a bit of a cascade down the line. So there's going to be definitely 1 more casualty from the Soviet Union. Take the loss on that infantry. The result of that is, in round 2, there were 10 infantry class units, or not 10 infantry class units, but 10 infantry units that rolled in 1 block, 1 of which got a hit. So if the 1 hit gets assigned to that 1 guy, it's going to cascade further. So we're going to roll a d10 in Dice Maiden, and if the result is a 1, then that infantry that got a hit in round 2 didn't survive into round 2. So we're just going to see if it's a 1 or anything else. Lovely. Must be between 2 and 20. That is a 1. Okay, so that means 1 unit that got hit by the Germans in round 2, 1 German unit that got hit in round 2, should have survived into round 3, and that's going to be this mechanized infantry, and also this medium armor into round 4. So in round 3, this mechanized infantry also hits, so that's another infantry dead. And in round 4, the medium armor misses, and the battle is over as it is. So that's just the housekeeping change is 2 infantry in Lapland were lost that were not accounted for in the recording. Also, for the Soviets, very, very minor change. The infantry are not allowed to coexist with the CCP, as the CCP is not a major power yet and has not aligned to the Comintern Alliance. The changes going to be made here are the 2 infantry that marched from western into Rihi are going to be going into eastern instead. Consequently, he's also changing his plans for the region. He will be replacing the AAA that he had sent to Rihi with a fighter, and the cost is going to be offset with 2 infantry being deleted from having been built at the factory in Cheetah last turn. So that is what everything should look like. Okay, and with that, I believe all of the housekeeping is done. Yes, in the Red Sea, the last British turn, they passed units past the German subs. The Germans couldn't have fired. We rolled off the board and had accounted for both of the submarines having gotten a hit, but they shouldn't have. As far as I'm aware, all of the spectators will not even notice a change. They didn't see the units even get deleted, but for the players, they are supposed to still be here. And with that, I believe we can get on with the actual Japanese turn. Should be a relatively short one. There's not a whole lot I can do in a relatively poor state. We'll start with the tech. I have not rolled off screen because I'm starting new techs. We're going to be rolling for Advanced Artillery and LRA. LRA misses with a 2. Artillery hits with an 11. Okay, on to the purchases. I'm buying 3 fighters. 2 heavy cruisers are being started. 4 militia are being built via the Patriotic Citizens bonus. That's that 4 right there. And then 2 coastal artillery are being built for an additional 10. The total cost is 52 to clear the bank. Alright, on to combat moves. There are only 3. First, the coastal submarine from I-13 is moving northward into P-59, and it's going to raid there. And it's going to be joined by the submarine that was in P-32. 1, 2, 3. And lastly, 1 strategic bomber from Sumatra is flying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Nanking. And it's gonna bomb the port. And go from there. Okay, and that is all the combats that are necessary. Let's go ahead and roll them out. Start with the submarines. We'll have... These need to be D6s, not D12s. There they are. There's one. Okay, so we'll roll for the coastal submarine first. The orange die will be for the Japanese sub. Roll a d6 for ASW, or d12 for ASW. Okay, so we'll roll the coastal submarine, which has a -2 penalty, so the red die gets a +2. ASW misses. Convoy defends, no damage. And then for the sub itself, instead of the coastal sub, we'll have a +1 for the red die for the British Commonwealth. Also no damage, but also ASW doesn't hit, so everything's okay. And that'll have units still raiding on the British Commonwealth lines now. Okay, and then I just deleted those die. Okay. In Nanking, we'll have our carpet bombing roll, or not carpet bombing, strategic bombing roll, and inherent AAA rolling in defense. I believe that's a max of 5 damage on that port, and the inherent AAA does kill the strategic bomber, because of course it does. Okay, 8 damage. I'll put 8 damage markers there. I'll delete any that are excess over the maximum for the facility. So that's 3, 6, 8. Okay. I'll deal with that in a bit. Okay, that is all of the combat moves already finished. Let's go on to the non-combat movement. North to south. The fighter from Beiping is going to fly 1, 2, 3, 4 to the 97th. These 2 infantry from Hopei are going to march north into Beiping, join the 41st. Yeah, that's most of what's going on up here. Further south, 1 Marine and 1 infantry are boarding the naval transport in I-12, and they're going to be going disembarking into Sumatra. And the naval transport is going to be going in port in Sumatra. Okay. Additionally, the naval transport from Cochin, China is going to be moving southward 2 spaces, also going in port in the south side of Sumatra. It's going to be picking up along the way 1 infantry from Borneo, which is also disembarking onto Sumatra. Okay. The tactical bomber from Sumatra is flying 1, 2, 3, 4 to Guam. The strategic bomber is flying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to Honshu. And that doesn't pass any aircraft carriers. It passes P-32 and P-15. And there are no aircraft carriers here. Okay. And lastly, 2 destroyers from I-7 are moving 1, well, just 1, and going in port in Sumatra as well. I do believe that has One of these destroyers is going to be staying out in I-12 instead of going in port in Sumatra. Yeah. That'll be good enough. And I believe with that, we can place buys, collect income. Alright. The heavy cruisers are, of course, being put on stage 2, and everything else gets placed. Oh, I should have done some unit movements in Japan, too. Yeah, I'll do that. Both coastal guns are being built in Guam. Yeah, okay. One fighter is being built in Kyushu. 2 fighters being built in Tokyo. I am gonna have 2 militia built in Tokyo. 2 militia built in Kyushu. And then 2 coastal guns and 2 infantry from Honshu are going to walk into Tokyo, and they're going to be replaced by 1 AAA from Kyushu. Okay, and that'll be it. I'll need a new task force marker for Tokyo itself, but Honshu also definitely needs to keep a marker. So I'll clean all this up before sending it out. That is all the buys placed. Can't use any of these factories. Can't upgrade any militia. Don't care to build any new militia elsewise. Okay, collecting income. We do have all of our ports blockaded, and I couldn't manage to fix that before the turn ends. So, with Island Nation, of course, we have an income from just the Japanese home island itself. That's 6 IPP for next turn. That hurts. Okay, and with that, everything should be more or less set to pass off to Tactical for his next British Commonwealth and Free French turns. Best of luck on your next rolls.